Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Den. I'm Daniel. Today's topic, the sports world reacts to U.S. Capitol riots in D.C. last week. So a group of lowlifes and punks decided that they were going to go and storm the U.S. Capitol to disrupt lawmakers from certifying the presidential-elect Joe Biden's election win back in November. These individuals were upset that the person that they voted for in November didn't win, so they thought it would be a good idea to go and try to intimidate and plot violent acts against lawmakers just trying to do their job. They were essentially trying to disrupt democracy, which ended up prevailing. This riot led to 5 people dying, including a U.S. Capitol police officer. There were also multiple arrests. But what also stood out about this event is the fact that the police response to these rioters. Multiple videos circulated on social media of some police officers taking pictures with these lowlifes, with these rioters as they were breaching the Capitol. Some of these rioters had zip ties. They were planning to try to kidnap lawmakers. They were planning on committing violent acts against them, but you had some members of law enforcement taking photos with these people as if this was okay. The behavior of some of these police officers is a stark contrast in the way that police have handled Black Lives Matter rallies and protests. In some Black Lives Matter protests, you've seen tear gas being emitted on these peaceful protests. You've seen violence committed against a lot of the activists and protesters who took part in these Black Lives Matter movements, these rallies, when they were just trying to push for social justice. But when you had these rioters at the U.S. Capitol, they were essentially trying to inflict violence among lawmakers. But police thought it was okay to take selfies with some of these people, and somehow they were able to show restraint with these rioters compared to their behavior, police that is, when it came to Black Lives Matter peaceful protests. But if you don't want to take my word for it, you can look no further than social media, because you had a bunch of athletes around the sports world who had the exact same sentiment as myself. You had LeBron James come out and say that we live in 2 different Americas, and spoke to the hypocrisy of the treatment of these rioters last week, and also compared to Black Lives Matter protesters. You had Doc Rivers, who said that, and I'm paraphrasing, that if this had been black people who rioted at the U.S. Capitol, there would have been a number of fatalities. You also had Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat come out and say something similar. You also had Boston Celtics stars Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum also speak to the double standard, the treatment of these rioters compared to Black Lives Matter protesters, the way police handled them at protests, Black Lives Matter protesters. You also had coaches like Golden State Warriors coach Steve Kerr speak out against the hypocrisy and also condemn Trump for his actions in terms of encouraging these rioters to storm the Capitol to contest the election results. San Antonio Spurs coach Greg Popovich also had something to say on this as well, also condemning Trump's actions and the behaviors of these rioters. So what I want to know from you guys out there is, do you have an issue with these athletes and coaches speaking out on what took place at the U.S. Capitol last week? Do you think they should use their platform to speak out on these issues? Or should they just stick to sports, stay in their lane, and keep politics out of sports? As always, I want to hear from you out there. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. And please hit the subscribe button to see more content. We'll do it again next time, and I'm out.